What's going on, guys? Today we have a 2024 Honda CBR650R with the E-clutch. Of course, by the title, you know we got the Akrapovic exhaust. You are going to need the Akrapovic exhaust and Lambda extender, but I'm going to show you how to take this apart entirely, every bolt, every nut, whatever you got to do, everything needed, and then we're going to go ahead and jump right into this. But let's start with a sound clip of the stock exhaust so you know how it sounds before we get this nice exhaust on. Now, before we dive into this, this is every tool that you are going to need to do this job correctly. You're going to need a ratchet with an extender, and you're going to need a swivel head, and that has to have a 12 millimeter at the end of it. You're going to need a 10 millimeter wrench, ratchet, socket, one of them. 5 millimeter Allen key. You're going to need a spring or exhaust spring tool puller of some sort. I'll see if I can link something for Amazon here. Small flathead and a 17 millimeter wrench or socket. Well, actually, it's going to need a wrench. You can't be a socket. It has to be a wrench because that is what's going to be needed for the Lambda sensor. So this is everything that you will need to do the job correctly. You should have these. Oh, there is one more thing that you need. If you are in America, you need a M12 by 1.25 thread, like O2 sensor plug, because if you're in America, it only comes with one O2 sensor, so you're gonna need to get a plug. I didn't have one for this video, so I made do with one, but I do have some coming that are correctly. I will show you how to do it makeshift, but I will link the correct thing that you will need in the description. So this should be everything that you need, and hopefully this helps. So let's get right into this. So starting with this side fairing here, you're gonna have 4 5 millimeter Allen keys. You got one here by your brake, one more here. You got a black one here just above the engine, and then you have a silver one right up here by your handlebars. There are 4 Allen keys. They're all 5 millimeter. And then you have a couple push clips. I've already taken it out, but you'll have 1 and 2. There's actually 2 on this bottom piece here. And then you have a couple more in here. You're gonna need to spin the tire probably straight in order to get in here properly. But you do have 2 Phillips head screws in here. You can use a regular screwdriver, but it may need to be a short or a stubby. And then you have a couple more push clips. You got one push clip here. Sorry, trying to not get my fingers in there. A couple more push clips here. And another one up here. And that should be what you need in order to get this off. I did forget to mention these 2 as well up here. There is one here and one closer back by the radiator up at the top corner. And then you should be able to just kind of pull this away. I did loosen this one just in case because I didn't really see how it's connected, but looks like that should be everything. And then you can start to peel this away. And then we're gonna need to disconnect this turn signal. With the turn signal, as you can see here, it is just a push clip. You push that little tab down and you can pull it apart. It is hidden under this rubber boot, so that way you can get this undone. So there is actually one more clip that we need to take off, but it is easier to have this done first in case you drop it. You don't want to end up accidentally ripping the cable. So the last one is actually tucked up under here. So the last clips here are actually just literally two little clips, and they're sitting like this, and you need to pull it forward. Don't try to pry too hard because you could end up breaking it.
I actually ended up accidentally breaking this one a little bit, but I'm just going to super glue that back together and let it dry while I'm working on the rest of this. So just be careful with this one. It's going to be a pain, but take your time. You should be able to pop it out. Just pull it forward, not out. Now you're going to need to use your 10mm here because we need to loosen up this radiator just a little bit because we need to get to those 12mm header bolts. So just use your 10mm, loosen this up a little bit. It is only one bolt on the one side, and that should give you access in order to loosen this a little bit. I may need to loosen the top one, but yeah, you may need to loosen the top one just a little bit. It's up there. It is actually easier to get that bolt from the top. So if you turn your handlebars away, you can actually reach in there from the top and get that bolt. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this and show you guys, but you can get to that bolt from the top. Of course, my wrench is backwards. Here we go. There we go. Okay. So you can see there's a little bit of play, and you can go ahead and loosen it up that way. Just get it a little loose. You don't have to take it out. Just enough so you can get a little bit of play in the radiator. Now, I don't know why I said that you need to just loosen this. You need to take it out because you need to be able to get some play in it, and you can't do that with the bolt in. Now, to get these headers off, you are gonna need a swivel bolt. There is really no good way of getting a straight head in there. You're gonna need the swivel bolt to get it off correctly. Otherwise, you run the risk of possibly stripping these or, you know, just messing them up badly. So just get yourself a swivel bolt, and then you can go ahead and take this off. So once you have all 8 of those heads out, as you can see here, I just got the bolts taken out. You have one more bolt down by your brake. It is down here, a little 12mm. You got one there, and then there's one more on the other side of the bike. Now, when you're over on the shifter side of the bike, if you come down here and you look up, here you go. There's the other bolt right there, and then you should be able to drop this out. Before you drop the exhaust out, though, make sure you grab 17mm wrench. Go ahead and loosen up this lambda sensor. You're going to want it loose so that way you can, you know, freely get to it once you get everything off. So I have this bolt is like one thread in right now. I'm going to take the back one off, and then I should be able to drop this, and then I can take that out and get everything situated. Now, you couldn't really see it the way I was recording, but the way to basically drop this thing, you're going to want to get all of your header bolts, or at least these like ring clip type connections. You're going to want to get them loose and out of the way, so that way you can take the front of this and like lean it out, and then you can take this back side and drop it down. This is the American version, so there is only one sensor on this. So obviously all you had to do is just untwist it and then, you know, just let it hang there for a second. And then this is the entire stock exhaust. So we're going to go ahead and get this out of the way, get the Akrapovic in here, and then go ahead and start assembling. Now, when you have your other headers here off the Akrapovic, these ends here will slide off, and then you can also grab these clips here. This is how you need to set it up before you put it in there. This will obviously be the farthest away from you on the clutch side. So you're going to want to do spring inside, spring inside, spring outside, spring inside. And that is if you were looking directly at the header from the front. So make sure you put it in that way and put the springs on first, otherwise you're going to have a hard time doing it. And then put the bolts in just kind of hand tight. So go ahead and get these on the bike this way, and then we'll go on to the next step from there. So it's kind of hard to see here, but as you can kind of see here, there you go. Inside, inside, outside, inside. You're going to want the springs to be that way. And then we can go ahead and work on trying to get these headers installed completely. Now, if you don't have one of these little exhaust spring tools, I highly recommend you get one. I actually already had one of these from a previous exhaust that I had bought. It came with it. But essentially, you can just hook this onto there, and it gives you something to grab, and then of course you can just pull it, and then as you can see there, it extends the spring. So this will help tremendously, because if you see here, this is why you had to do it a special way, inside, inside, outside, inside. You have to pull that spring over that hook there, and you're going to need to be able to get that in there, and it'll hold it in place. So this is going to be a pain, but I don't know how well I'm going to be able to record this, but at least I can kind of explain to you how I did it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this on, and then I'll kind of show you after. So it's kind of hard to show you here, but as you can see, I've got my tool on the spring, and all I have to do is pull that down and then get it on top of that. And you just kind of have to wiggle that out. But trust me, that is going to save you so much effort in trying to get that in there. Yeah, trust me, you're going to want to do it. But once you get all 4 of those springs in, then you can go ahead and tighten up those header bolts just a little bit, but not all the way, just enough to keep it snug. Now, once you get the springs all in and everything good to go, if you have an American bike, you're only going to have one sensor. So obviously the Akrapovic comes with 2 sensor plugs here. So what you need to do is you need to get a M12 by 1.25 bolt. I recommend getting a plug. Unfortunately, I don't have that at the time of this recording. So what I did is I just went to the hardware store. I picked up just a regular M12 by 1.25 bolt. I'm going to go ahead and just chop this down with a bandsaw or something, and then I'm going to just plug it. This is only temporary. I don't recommend doing this. This is just because I need something to plug that hole for right now, and then I should have the part in about 2 days. But it's only because I'm sitting at this point that I just did this temporarily. But you're going to want to order that before you dive into this. That way, there's no questions about it. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm still going to add the extender because I want this sensor to be here, because if you can see here, that is where the oil filter is, and I want to make sure this is as clear as possible. I don't want the sensor sticking out back here. I just want to have this as open as possible. So I'm going to still put the extender in and put it in this one, and then we're going to go from there. Now, when you get to this part of adding the extender in for the O2 sensor, if you come over on the shifter side of the bike, obviously here's the shifter. If you look up right here, this is actually the plug right here. So you just have to go ahead, take that off. You're going to add this extender in there, and then you're just going to kind of feed it down through here, which then works its way down. So you're just going to plug it in and then just try to work it down a little bit. And then that'll give you the extra room at the bottom there to plug in your sensor. So as you can see here, I have my extender plugged in. Now all you have to do is go ahead and plug that back in. It clips right in. And then we just have to kind of feed this down through there. I'm going to use both hands, but you basically just kind of feed that down in there, and then you'll have more room. But you can also try to pull it a little bit. It's kind of difficult to see, but you just have to use both hands, kind of fish it through, and then you'll be good to go at getting this extended a little bit. Now, as you can see, I now have a lot more slack on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-twist this backwards, install it, twist it forward, and then I'm going to tie up these loose cords afterwards. So we'll go ahead and just get that tightened in, and then we'll be done with that part. Now, once you get this in and you go ahead and put the 17 millimeter back on it and tighten it, don't crank it down. Give it a nice snug and you should be good, because you don't want to break that. And what I did was I pretty much just kind of tied everything back together, give it a little bit of room, and then yeah, that way you can still you can get your oil filter off. You can still do everything without getting in the way.
So I tied it up that way. I did kind of tie the two wires together up where the sensor or where the extender is. Here's where the extender is. It's not pretty how I did this. I just wanted to tie it up out of the way so it doesn't mess with anything. It really doesn't need that much length. I don't know why they kind of give you all this. You really just needed a little bit of length to give you that stretch, but that's just what I did. It's completely up to you how you want to do it, but that's just how I did it. So moving on, we're going to go ahead and put the muffler in. Now when it comes to the muffler, you do have to add this little bracket, but thankfully it's pretty easy. You have to do that. You got 4 5mm Allen heads that you're going to have to add into it. Make sure that the bracket itself is facing towards the headers where the exhaust tip is facing with this this solid piece here. So make sure you have it that way. They do supply a little bit of thread locker, so we're just going to go ahead and add just a little bit to it. Go ahead and tighten these 4 bolts in, and then we can go ahead and add this onto the bike. Now getting this part in was actually a bigger pain than you can imagine, and I wish I could have shown you guys, but all you would see is a bunch of close-ups of the back of my head. But getting these bolts lined up with the bracket is relatively difficult. And then this piece, like the actual tail piece, slides over the pipe. So you'll have to just slide it over and then get it into place, and then get 1 bolt on one side, 1 bolt on the other, and then tighten it down once you get the threads in. So now that we are here and the whole thing is in, what I want to do first is I'm going to go ahead and tighten down the header bolts, and then we're going to go ahead and work on putting these springs in. So I'm going to tighten down the header bolts. Don't forget to put this bolt back in, and then we will be good to go. So now that I have the header bolts are all tight, I do have the radiator tied back down, bolted in, both top and bottom if you loosen the top. And then of course I've got the bolts back here tight, springs are all on. So the last step that you'll have to do, at least to get the exhaust on, is to go ahead and add the last 2 springs. You got 1 on this side, 1 on the back side. Luckily I can show you here. I can go ahead and get that to slide on there. All right. And then we grab the exhaust spring tool. We just go ahead and grab that. And then you just gotta stretch it. I'm probably gonna need 2 hands to do this because I don't want the bike to tip over, but basically that's all you do. You just pull it and get it in there. So I'm gonna get this on, and then we'll continue on from that point. Now once you have those final 2 springs on, this is where you would want to test the bike. I just tested mine. I'm not gonna do it for you right now because I just wanted to test it, and I don't want to ruin the surprise for you. But you should probably already know what this sounds like anyways, so I'm going to work on putting this back together, and then we will get a final sound clip at the very end. But I did not get any check engine lights. It did start up just fine, so far that is what it is. And so I'm going to work on getting the fenders back on, and we just have to do that in the reverse step. So we're going to go ahead and get the fender, and we're going to start by trying to clip it in there, and then start with your turn signal, and then work your way on clipping everything back in. So this does take a little bit of finessing, but make sure you kind of slide it in, and it's going to clip in like this, and then you just got to push it forward. It'll snap into place, and you'll know when you hit it, and then you can just line up your holes. You got your holes there. This one on the side here, go ahead, line that up. And a couple more, you just might have to push them into place, and you can get them tightened down with the bolts if you need to, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to actually put this plastic piece back in first, because that's probably going to be the hardest part, and we need a little bit of room for that. So getting this front piece here, you're going to have the 2 bottoms clipped together, and then it slides down as a clip on top, and then of course you got 2 little clips on the side here that is going to go into a groove. But once you do get it, you can grab the clips like this. It gives you a little bit of leverage, and then you can slide it in there and then just push it back and clip it back into place. And that is all you have to do to get those clips back in, is the easiest way possible. So make sure you don't forget to put the 2 that are down there back in, and then you have the ones underneath here, 1 there. You didn't need to take out those screws. And then there are 2 more up here, and 1 on the side, I believe, somewhere up here. It's kind of hard to show you, but you should remember where they were. And don't forget to kind of just like push this plastic back in, because it will just kind of clip into place. And you'll know when it's there, you'll feel it clip. So just make sure you do the reverse of what you did when you first started. Now, if you remember when you took off them in the beginning, you had 2 black, 2 silver. The longer black 5mm bolt goes in the bottom here. You might have to line that one up last. That's kind of a pain sometimes. And then you go with a silver in this hole. I'm just gonna temporarily put it in there, thread-wise, if I can get it, because it's very difficult for some reason. All right, well, I can't get that one. There we go. There we go. It's going in now. I believe in it. Probably would have helped if I had 2 hands, but this is why we do this for you guys. Then you have a black one up here on the side of the fairing. Easy enough to slide that one in. And then lastly, you have the silver one up here at the top by the tank. So don't forget to put these back in that way, and then you can tighten them down, and then you should have your fairing all put back together. And make sure you have all your clips pushed in, because you don't want anything falling apart while you're riding down the road. It's never a good sign. There we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this tightened down, and then we will show you the finished product. All right, and now that we have that fully installed, let's go ahead and give it a sound test. Here you can see there is no check engine lights, so we are all good to go. I'm hoping this install helps you completely. This is all just kind of visual learning if you need, but I do prefer this style look here because I like it tucked up. I don't like that giant fart can coming off the back of it. So I thank you guys for following along on this journey. Hopefully this helps you guys, and catch you in the next one.